Bond yields in Spain soar, raising concerns that Madrid will have to seek a broader bailout. That has global markets rattled as we start the week. I'm Winnie O'Kelly reporting for Business Day Live. We'll take a look at how art collectors are taking advantage of favorable tax rules in Switzerland. And David Carr is here from the media desk. He has a question for Marissa Meyer. But first, Caterpillar takes a stance on labor talks that's as tough as its bulldozers. I'm joined by Stephen Greenhouse, who's been covering the strike. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Winnie. How are you?
Good. So Caterpillar is doing really well. Maybe not every company is in this economy, but they are. They're very profitable. So what are they doing here with their labor union?
Caterpillar has record profits, almost $5 billion, and it's also known as being an extremely tough company on labor relations. Mm-hmm. And it has basically made a tough take it or leave it offer to its union at a plant outside Chicago in Joliet. And despite its record profits, it's asking for a 6-year pay freeze, a pension freeze. It wants its workers to contribute more towards health coverage, and it wants to get rid of seniority in many ways for the older workers at the plant. And Caterpillar in many ways has been a model for other companies in labor relations because it takes such a tough approach. It also has this kind of newfangled approach that we're not going to let collective bargaining so much set our wage rates. We want our wages set by the market rates in nearby areas, and the union doesn't like this. It says, you know, you're trying to freeze our pay for 6 years. How could we ever agree to that when you're making record profits?
So now we have the machinists, in this case, on strike for quite a long time too, right?
Yes, they've been on strike for 12 weeks. I was out there the other day. It was 99 degrees as they picketed, and it was really pretty tough on them. And they are holding out, hoping that Caterpillar will say, we need you guys back. Mm-hmm. You know, we need the parts that you make. But Caterpillar has been able to continue operating the plant through the use of managers and replacement workers, and a few members of the Machinists Union have also crossed the picket line.
So Caterpillar doesn't seem to be under extraordinary pressure here. They could probably keep this going in theory?
Well, it's often very hard to read exactly what's happening during strikes. You know, there's a lot of bluffing going on. And Caterpillar, I'm not saying it's bluffing, but Caterpillar says, oh, the plant is operating just as well as it was before the strike. The people on strike say that can't possibly be true. You know, our factory in Joliet, which makes hydraulic systems for all of Caterpillar's, you know, tractors and backhoes all around the world, they say, you know, we make products with the most exacting standards. There's no way in the world they maintain that the replacement workers could be doing as good a job, and they insist that there are a lot of defects in what's being made now. But it's very hard to know exactly what's going to happen long term. You know, a 12-week strike is already pretty long. Caterpillar isn't used to really backing off and compromising, and the union feels that the offer made to them is so awful that it would kind of be craven cowardly for them to ever agree to it. So this is a real face-off, and it could last many weeks yet.
Wow. I mean, I guess the one thing you're concerned about as you look across the economy is, are other companies thinking about this, asking for wage freezes even during profitable times? Could this be a new trend?
Caterpillar often sets the trends. You know, it was one of the very first companies to have 2-tier wages, and now we've seen the Detroit automakers in many ways copy Caterpillar. Caterpillar in the 1990s was one of the very first companies to have its employees absorb more of healthcare costs, and we've seen that trend all across the economy. And now, you know, some professors I interviewed for the story said, you know, Caterpillar might be setting a new trend that even though you have record profits, you're still demanding fairly steep concessions. And you know, for instance, Verizon, which is doing quite well, is asking for lots of concessions from its workers, and they've been negotiating for a year, and Verizon says, you guys are making too much, we have to kind of bring you down more towards market rates. And exactly as with Caterpillar, the Verizon workers are saying, why should we be accepting all these concessions when you are doing so well? So, you know, as you know very well, Winnie, the unemployment rate is high, unions are growing weaker, and I think many companies, Caterpillar, Verizon, see it as an opportunity to try to extract concessions from unions, especially when there are all these other workers willing to cross the picket line because they're so in need of jobs.
Thank you very much, Steve, telling us about tough times for labor. Up next, imagine owning so much artwork that you had to stack your Picassos on shelves. Now imagine the tax bill you might face owning all that art. But what if you could avoid paying those taxes and store your art in a giant, secure warehouse? The answer is in Switzerland, and it's called a Freeport. Editor David Gillen and reporter David Siegel filed this report.
17.5 million.
The stock market may be struggling, but the art market is soaring.
A man with style, £21 million.
This year saw big sales,
So,
like this Miro for $37 million, and Edvard Munch's iconic The Scream for $120 million. It shows the extremely wealthy are increasingly turning to fine art as a place to park their millions.
Well, I definitely have seen the art market bounce back, but it's really for the blue chip and higher end of the market, where people are looking to make these speculative investments in art as an asset that is maybe less riskier than perhaps the stock market.
While some masterpieces end up in fine homes or public museums, many others get tucked away to grow in value in the safety of vaults and warehouses, like Freeport's elite facilities that our reporter David Siegel calls the Cayman Islands of the art world.
The Geneva Freeport is said to be the world's greatest private museum. It is a warehouse where people who own art can store it indefinitely and tax-free.
And so you just called these guys up and you said, hey, I'm David Siegel, the New York Times here, can I stop by? And they said, okay.
It took a little bit longer than that. It wasn't immediate, but they did say okay. I think that the Freeport is on a kick now to come across as a little more transparent. They had a bit of very bad publicity back in 2003, 4, and 5 when Egypt accused the Swiss of allowing the Freeport to be used to smuggle antiquities that have been from excavation sites. Since then, they've been a little bit more eager to be more transparent and say there's nothing unscrupulous going on here.
What are the attractions for clients or even galleries to turn to something like the Geneva Freeport?
The benefits from my clients and from other galleries and dealers that have businesses there are tremendous. I mean, you have incredible security, insurance. You have also anonymity and privacy.
They do for your art what they can do for your money. Provide you with a lot of secrecy. Nobody knows what art is in there. Nobody knows how much art is in there. There's also this indefinite suspension of any taxes for as long as it's there. So if you buy something in, say, England, and then you bring it to the Freeport, there's no taxes, and you can sell it at the Freeport as well, and you will not pay a transaction tax.
You know what's amazing though is you think of people going out and buying a masterpiece and then sticking it in some warehouse in Switzerland. I mean, like as if it were gold bars or something like that. I mean, are there not people in the art world who look at that kind of treatment, treating art as merely another commodity, and they go, this is just leaves them kind of cold?
It leaves them appalled, actually, when you think about it, because these are pieces of public art. It's not like a bar of gold, which nobody, they all look the same, and you can put it anywhere. I mean, the idea of having, a warehouse filled with impressionists and contemporary masterpieces, old masterpieces, is really troubling to a lot of people who lament the rise of the speculator class that has entered the art market and that are buying strictly with the idea that they will not hang it on the wall, but just put it in some dark warehouse where literally nobody will ever see it.
£1,000, 700,000, 700,000, 750,000, 800,000, 1 million, 1,100,000.
Finally, when Marissa Mayer was picked to become chief executive of Yahoo, the biggest question was whether she could turn the company around. David Carr joins me from the media desk, and he has a more basic question. What kind of company is Yahoo supposed to be? And what is it, David?
Well, they've got an amazing audience, which is what all media companies care about. We'd love an audience that big. You have 175 million people that know what Yahoo is when they open their computer. 30 million people visit there. My conclusion is that it's a media company, and they should just revel in that.
Maybe, but it's not the best of times maybe to be a media company, right?
Good point, Winnie. It's a lot nicer to be known as sort of a friend of Facebook and Google as opposed to a media company. The thing is they have all this information, and the way in which they array it is going to be very important going forward. The problem, of course, is they're the kings of the desktop, but we're heading towards small, more mobile platforms. And so you're taking, they're sort of all things to all people. So that's like a 10-pound bag of stuff that's got to fit in a little tiny screen. And that's going to be require choices. So I think it's up to Marissa to say, what are we? How should we make these decisions? How can we come up with a smaller, more manageable, more profitable version of
So
Yahoo?
has she given us any clues? I mean, she comes from Google, she's this intellect, she's from the world of code, as you put it. Has she given us any clues as to what she might do?
I think we should be clear about it being a huge get for Yahoo. We would never, ever be talking about them, save for her presence. She's incredibly charismatic, employee number 20 at Google, sits on a tremendous amount of cachet on the web, and it was a huge move for them to hire her. She still confronts the very basic problems all CEOs have there, which is, what are we going to do with this big behemoth? Where are we going to land it? Where are we going to steer it? What do we want to tell consumers, more importantly advertisers, about what we are and what we can do for them?
So we'll see if maybe we've stemmed the continuing flow of CEOs through Yahoo. Maybe Marissa can find the secret mix.
She of all people certainly has the equities to do it, but it's a very tough math problem that no one has been able to solve so far.
Thank you very much, David.
A pleasure.
That's all for today. Please stay with us online at nytimes.com for our continuing coverage of this and other stories. I'm Winnie O'Kelly, reporting for Business Day Live. Thanks for watching.